All right, so I've got this simple little sculpt that I've made here, and it's a crystal embedded in a rock, or that's what it will be. Right now it's clay with a... Anyway, so I'm gonna make a quick mold of this guy, but what we wanna do in this one is we want the crystal to penetrate into the stone when it's actually cast in the final piece. This is courtesy of Phil from Smooth On. Thank you, Phil. Quick little mold technique and a quick little pour technique that should give us some pretty interesting results. I got to make multiple copies of this guy, and it should look pretty weird anyway. So we're going to do that. All right, so this mold is relatively simple. All I'm gonna do is, well, here, watch. I'm gonna cut the bottom off this red Solo cup. I'm gonna need 2 toothpicks and a spoon and a cold beer. No, I'm kidding. These are all jokes. And I'm just gonna hot glue this guy down. Clean this up a little bit. So this will be our mold wall. We're just going to pour it in on top of that. It's pretty easy. So hot glue. Actually, double check. Bang, that's a mold box that fast. All right, so we're gonna, I've got 250 mils of the B in here. I'll pour in 250 mils of A, mix them up, and we'll make a mold. Paper towel. Scraping the sides of the container. Now, I am not, I'm not putting this inside a vacuum chamber or anything like that. And so what I'm going to do to try and eliminate air bubbles is, well, 2 things. I'm going to mix it and try not to introduce too much air into it, but I'm also going to pour it from very high. And that should give us a thin stream that helps bubbles pop. Okay, so silicone is now hard, and I have freed it from our little base, and I'm just going to try and fart this thing out of the cup, as we would say. And hopefully we speed this part up because it's not farting properly. Quick and easy mold, he said. Watch how easy this is with a Solo cup and doing it this way. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh, my eyes!
All right, so now that Matt fixed our mold, we're going to go ahead and mix up some resin, some clear resin, stick that in here, and see if we can get the effect we're looking for. It's a quick trick, and I'm kind of impressed with what I heard earlier, and I want to see if this works. I've got a little bit of blue pigment in here. I'm going to go ahead and mix these 2 together, and we'll pour this guy, and that's the first part of this. This will just be really quick. All right, so what I'm going to do here is, and I'll see if I can use a fine pointery gestury thing, is, see what I'm working on here? Where the crystal body meets the stone, right here. See if you can see how the shiny part is the crystal part, and then you can see it's growing out of stone. Now, even though this is all blue right now, this is going to be replaced. So what I need to do is where the 2 meet, right where the crystal meets the stone, I need to shave away the stone, and then I'll re-pour with color to replace this part right here. But that way, I'm using the full mold as a mask. It tells me where I need to cut, or it tells me where I need to remove material. And it doesn't have to be that much, but it just needs to happen. So that's what we're gonna do now. I have to cut this shoulder off so that it doesn't end up being clear under the shoulder, if that makes sense. Okay, so what we've got right now is we've pared away this rock so that all of this stone surface is now fresh and smaller than the mold cavity is. So that once I stick this guy back in and we re-pour him, it should encapsulate this entire bottom with stone, and yet you still see the crystal running down inside the shaft. So that is our goal, and we'll see how it happens. So I'm going to shove this back in the mold now as best I can and see if we can get this thing to seat properly. How much did you cut off? Quarter? I don't know when to stop pushing, I guess. All right, I have filler and a little bit of pigment mixed in this guy. I've got part A and part B of 325. So we're gonna go ahead and add these guys. And I'm mixing way more than I need, but that's okay. I'm gonna bleed him out a little bit. That's where we are. I'm kind of looking, I hope this works as well as I think it will. And it may be a little technique thing. There may be a little touch and quay fixing we got to do, but I'm kind of looking forward to this. You going to try and pluck this guy out while I push on it?
Want me to try using the pliers or just my fingers?
Fingers if you can.
Still pretty soft. That's kind of low.
Okay.
Ah, too soft.
Well. Oh wow, yeah, it did not cure there.
Yeah, I mean you can touch it and feel that it's prying.
Yeah.
Peeling off.
And there's too much pigment in here.
A little too much pigment, maybe. Maybe the filler.
Look at the skin.
It's just so thin that it's just not curing. I would say let it sit overnight.
I want to peel it off because look, I can actually clean this off and then we can just re-pour it.
I suppose so.
Skirting disaster. We pulled this guy, and he was a little too soft to pull. But right after I poured it, I realized that I had used a little bit too much black pigment. It was a little too dark. And because this stuff gels, this 325, the clear resins gel before they harden, it is letting me clean off my little joint place where we're trying to get all this magic to happen, and do it relatively easily. So we are going to remix this guy with less pigment, learn a little bit from what we just did, or from what we just experienced, let it cure a little bit longer, and in fact I'll probably drill a few holes in it to give it a little bit more tooth, and we're going to report, and we'll probably just pull it tomorrow because it's close to the end of the day, but you're not going to notice. You're just watching a video. Editing takes care of all that. That worked really well. The technique is, or what's helpful about this, is that because we have a line of demarcation between the crystal and the stone, we're able to use that just as a masking indicator to grind away and then cast our piece the way so that it looks optically really good. I wish I could show you this in person. I'm very happy. So thanks again to Phil at Smooth On. Thanks, Phil. And let's see what else. These guys are going to adorn our pyramid. We'll be showing you that soon. We'll be building the pyramid this week and putting that video together for you. And in a few weeks, we'll be going to an RPF party. If you're not familiar with the RPF, you might want to look it up. It's a bunch of makers and fantastic people, everybody incredibly generous with their time and information, and they build props from movies, replica props. But that all the techniques and everything are common to everything that we do here. And so anyway, a bunch of friends of ours are over with the RPF, as are we. We're going to try and shoot a little interview video and shoot some stuff over at the party itself, which is fantastic. And if you haven't done it already, subscribe, like, follow us on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. There's buttons and you should push them now. Why haven't you done it already?